Greetings Internet! So nearly 6 years ago now, very early on in my YouTube adventures, I made a video titled Inspirations and Aspirations. Link in a card somewhere and down in the doobly-doo if you want to revisit that. In that video I talked about how in my younger years I'd never really had what you might call a role model, not a famous known one anyway. But then how recently at the time I had found the Vlogbrothers and they had brought a new inspiration and focus to my life. It came right as I was transitioning from 20s to 30s, and it brought some new focus into my life which had been severely lacking in the previous 10 years. As a student I was very much more into the partying side of things than I was to any of the studying aspects, and that kind of just carried on after I was done throughout my 20s. And I was kind of just going with the flow and not really having a lot of active input into where things were going. But then finding Vlogbrothers and the general wider YouTube community, I found myself exposed to a wider variety of interesting points of view and more people than I would ever have met just here in Sheffield. And in the generalist sense, it helped me figure out where my place was in the world and what were the things that I cared about the most. However, the thing is, all of that is now set and integrated into my personality, and it is part of who I am. I know some people who have kind of drifted away from nerdfighter over the years, but I definitely still consider myself a nerdfighter, but they're no longer my primary inspiration. They and a few others did a great job of solidifying morals and ideologies in my head, but that's done now. Now, as I'm rapidly approaching 40s and the next decade of my life, my focus is much more on the practical. As a self-employed person running his own business, I'm starting to think more about that, planning for the future, where is that gonna go, financial stability, and boring things like that. And the person who's been inspiring me to get way more into that is CGP Grey. He's always made interesting educational videos on YouTube, but it's the podcasts he now makes which give you more of an insight into the person behind it, and from Cortex in particular you get a much deeper idea of how he organises himself and his business. It's all about productivity and task managers and organisation and things like that. And so listening to him and Mike Hurley talk about the internals of their businesses and how they deal with everything over the last couple of years has really inspired me to start thinking more about my own business. And for the first time in ever, I have a to-do list management system that I actually feel like it works for me. It's something I've been tinkering with for years. You try all sorts of different to-do list managers and systems and project things, but nothing ever quite works because they weren't designed for your particular business. But eventually, with iterating through all the options and mushing together a couple of different systems with web APIs, it is possible to find something that actually works for you. And I will always credit CGP Grey and Mike Hurley for getting me to that point. There are various other things I can credit to them too, but I think the theme of this year's VEDA is going to be a bit self-improvement and productivity related, so that's something we're going to save for other videos. There's a link to Cortex down in the doobly-doo if that's something you think you might be interested in listening to. Who, if anyone, do you find yourself inspired by these days? Tell me about it in the comments down below, and I will see you again tomorrow.